to write this down. So write down the first one. Development is not delay. The second thing is your heart sets the boundaries of your calling. You see, Proverbs 4:23 says, keep your heart with all diligence, for out of it spring the issues of life. When you look at the word issues, it translates to boundary. Your heart sets the boundaries of your calling. You see, many times you think your enemy is people. When that person offended you, when that person hurt you, when that person wounded you, whatever, that the person is not your enemy. Paul had a revelation of this. He says, we do not fight against flesh and blood. Why does he have to say it? Because it comes through flesh and blood. He says, no. It's bigger than that. That you fight against principalities and powers. There is something that is trying to corrupt the purity of your heart. Because the purity of your heart shows the Lord how far or how narrow he can use you. Do you realize that part of Jesus's ability to die on the cross was the genuine love he had for those who hated him? If Jesus's heart as a man, as a human, was against the people who were beating him, who placed him on the cross, then in anger he could wipe everybody out. Because he had the power to do so. He had the power to call on angels and say, you know what? We should just do a whole new Noah. Okay? Just wipe them out. He had the power to do so. What restricted him was the love he had for people. In his love, he could say, Father, forgive them, for they don't know what they do. You think, and in culture likes to talk so much about my haters, my haters, my haters. Don't fall for that trap. Because when your heart is corrupted, there is so much that God can do with you. There's not that much, rather. Because everything flows through love. He is love. If you don't have the nature of who God is, there's not that much he could do with you. And so the preparation place is when God also works with your heart. You see, my father was murdered when I was 8 months old. Then I later found out that an uncle who I grew up and I loved as a child was behind the assassination of my father. But at 9 years old, what became my lifeline? Because before the Lord encountered me, my life was going in a very dark direction. But when he did, he started to teach me. The first lesson God gave me was about love and forgiveness. Because I had a lot of hate in my heart. And that was the first thing he started teaching me about. And that's why I can never forget that first message he told me. He says, my daughter, no one will ever hurt you from a place of love or wholeness. So realize, yes, you know the face that did it. But what happened, there was a brokenness in them that the enemy used as an access point. The enemy used to influence them. So yes, the Lord would be an ultimate judge. He's a God of justice, right? Yes, the Lord will fight for me concerning that, but I don't have to take the poison of bitterness, and you don't have to. You don't have to take the poison of unforgiveness, of offense, because it is a trap. You see, oftentimes what you think the enemy was after is not what he's after at all. And you see this perfectly shown in the life of Peter. The enemy, Satan, comes to Jesus to ask for Peter and the disciples. Jesus says he has prayed for Peter. But yet, it did not stop Satan from still setting plots. And look at how it happened. It starts with a conversation between Satan and Jesus. And Jesus makes it known, look, I'm going to pray for him. He'll be all right. But it did not stop Satan from using people. Do you realize that the 3 people that questioned if Peter knew Jesus did not do that randomly? You don't fight against flesh and blood. These were people that were easily influenced in that moment because Satan, it started with Satan, not flesh and blood. Satan is having a conversation and he finds the people who are perfect to have this dialogue with Peter so that Peter can deny his knowledge of Jesus. But why is Peter still after, why is Satan still after trying to get Peter in this trap, even though he knows that Jesus has prayed for him? Do you realize that when Satan goes to Jesus, he first needed permission? And whenever God gives permission concerning a person, he knows this person has what it takes. The same thing that happened with Job. He knows this person has what it takes to not fall for this trap. So if Jesus knows, then why does Satan still continue? Why is Satan still after you, even when he knows that Jesus says they'll be all right? Because it's never the thing. It's never the thing that seems so obvious. Satan was not after Peter falling away because Jesus already tells Peter, Peter, look, you're going to do this to me. But I have prayed that your faith does not fail you. What is Satan after? To trap Peter in shame. To trap him in a place where he cannot forgive himself. Many of us find ourselves there. Something happens to you. You did something to someone. A person offended you, whatever. You thought it was just about God exposing the person, or maybe Satan was just after a break in the relationship. And what? No. He's after how you function. There's some things the enemy can't stop. When there's a word over your life, the enemy knows he can't stop you. So what he tries to do is join you. If I can't stop you, then maybe I can become the shame that keeps you bound. If I can't stop you, then let me be the bitterness in your heart that can't let go. If I can't stop you, then let me be the reminder, let me be the whisper in your ear that reminds you of what they did to you 7 years ago. If I can't stop God's word over you, and now you are functioning from a dysfunctional place,